Hello and welcome to 2020 4-H STEM Summer Reading Connections. My name is Jen and I am your host. I'm a 4-H youth development educator in Garfield, Loop, and Wheeler counties, coming to you from Burwell, Nebraska. Now, if you've never participated in STEM Summer Reading Connections before, I'd like to introduce it to you. So in our summer reading program, we combine the National Summer Reading theme, Imagine Your Story, which happens to be about fantasy, mythology, and fairy tales this year, with 4-H. And in 4-H, one of the things that we love is STEM. So this year we've decided to take a Mythbusters approach. Today's session is called Germs, Germs Everywhere, and we are going to be looking at myths about germs, which I'm sure this year you've heard plenty of them. So for today's activity, you're going to need a few materials. You're going to need water and or milk, depending on how many of the activities you choose to do. You'll need some ground pepper, like you'd find on a table, some liquid dish soap. An example of that might be Dawn dish soap if you have that at home. A bowl or other container that's going to do the same job as a bowl. You'll need white flour, an assortment of toys, a plate, watercolors, paintbrushes, thick paper, straw, or if you don't have straws in your home, you can use another tube-like device that will do the same job as a straw, and black markers. If you need time to gather these materials, feel free to pause our video now and hit play when you've gathered all of the materials that you need from this page. So now that you have your materials, since this is a 4-H event, we like to begin our 4-H events by reciting the 4-H pledge. If you're a 4-H'er and you know the pledge, feel free to stand up, do the actions, and join me. If you're new to 4-H, or maybe you're not a 4-H'er, feel free to join along with the words that I've put here on the screen. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thanks so much for joining me in the pledge. Today, our story is going to be read to us by Jackie Steffen. Jackie is a learning child educator in Cedar County, coming to you from Hardington, Nebraska, and she's going to be reading Sick Simon by Dan Kroll. Thanks for reading to us, Jackie.
Today's 2020 4-H STEM Summer Reading Connection story is called Sick Simon. Germs are everywhere. What do you do to keep yourself healthy? I am sure a few things that popped into your mind were maybe washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, eating healthy foods, or maybe getting a good night's sleep. There are many things that we can do to help keep our bodies healthy. In this story, Simon is sick, but he is determined not to let his sickness get to him. He wants to have the very best week ever. Do you think his week is going to go as planned? Let's read to find out. Sick Simon by Dan Kroll. It was Monday. Simon didn't care if he had a cold. He was ready for the best week ever. He kissed his family good morning and had his favorite breakfast. He rode the bus to school and had fun the whole way. Does it really look like he's having fun? School was Simon's favorite place. Math was Simon's best subject, and he was sure to participate a lot. Achoo! On Tuesday, Simon got to take care of Mr. Warballs, the class chinchilla, share snacks with friends, and have show and tell. It looks like he's doing more than just sharing snacks. Wednesday's field trip was a treat. Although recess on Thursday was a blast, what Simon was really looking forward to was Friday's super big game of kickball. Hey, where's everybody at? Oh, that's right, they're likely homesick. On the way home, Simon started thinking maybe this wasn't the best week after all. Hey, Simon, nice work this week. You're the man. What? Who are you guys? We're germs and we make people sick. Not to brag, but I'm virus and I make people vomit. Protozoa here. Diarrhea's my thing. I'm bacteria. I do infections. And we couldn't go anywhere without you. Thanks for the ride. Have a nice trip, everyone. After that, we're everywhere. And that's how the magic happens. Huh? What? I don't spread you guys around. Are you kidding? You never wash your hands. You never cover your mouth. And you sneeze on everything. You love spreading germs. With that, Simon raced off the bus and did something the germs did not like one bit. Simon covered his mouth when he sneezed and coughed and blew his nose with the tissue. Hey, what are you doing? And then he threw the tissue into the trash can. We thought we were friends. Then he went to the sink and washed his hands with warm, soapy water. How could you? Which sent the germs packing. Simon rested all weekend. Uh-oh, he's resting and drinking lots of fluids. We don't stand a chance. Is that his nose talking? The little sister says, I think so. By Monday, Simon woke up feeling as good as new. He was ready to go back to his favorite place in the whole world. Hey, wait for me. I'm not sick anymore. Hooray! Yay! Yippee! And to have the best week ever. Uh-oh, I think Simon needs to teach his friend about how to stop the spread of germs. Go wash your hands. And that's the story, Sick Simon.
Now, wasn't that a great story? Today's lesson is going to be brought to you by Sarah Roberts. Sarah is a learning child educator in Dixon County, which you can see here on our map. She's joining us from Concord, Nebraska. And Sarah is going to be busting some myths for us about germs. We can't wait to see what you have for us, Sarah. So Sarah, what are germs?
Germs are tiny organisms that live everywhere. Plants, animals, and people can all be affected by germs. Some germs are good and some are bad. There are 4 different types of germs: bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. Bacteria are creatures that get nutrients from the environment around them. Some bacteria can live outside of our bodies and others can live inside our bodies. Bad bacteria cause infections like sore throats, cavities in your teeth, and pneumonia. There are good bacteria that live in our bodies too to help keep things balanced. They help us digest our food and make waste to get rid of things our bodies don't need. Good bacteria are also used to make medicines and vaccines to protect us. Viruses live inside other cells, such as those of animals, plants, and people. The place where a virus lives is called a host. When we have a virus, we can become very sick. Some viruses cause chickenpox, measles, and the flu. Fungi are plant-like organisms and live in warm, damp places. Many are not dangerous to people. One type of common fungus that people get is athlete's foot. This can make your feet really itchy. Protozoa love moisture and spread disease through the water. Some types can cause upset stomachs and are no fun to have around. Hey, let's do some germ painting and create our own germs.
For the germ painting activity, you'll need watercolor paint, paintbrushes, some type of thick paper, straws, and a black marker. For this activity, I didn't have watercolor or food coloring at home, so I used sprinkles to color the water. Using the paint, place a blob of paint on the paper. Then take the straw and blow the paint around the paper in different directions. Repeat with a different variety of colors. Afterwards, you can use the black marker to draw eyes and lines off of each germ.
That was such a fun activity, Sarah. So now that we've done that, can you tell us, what do germs really do?
Germs can get inside our bodies and cause infections. Some symptoms you might get are fever, a runny nose, a rash, coughing, or vomiting. Doctors can look at samples of our bodies under a microscope to help decide what kind of germ we have in order to treat it appropriately. Look how easy germs can spread with our next activity.
For this activity, you'll need some all-purpose flour and a variety of toys. Pour out a little bit of flour onto a plate and rub your hands in it. What happens? It gets all over the place. Play with some of your toys like blocks, a plastic tractor, or a football. See what happens with the flour. This is how easily germs are transferred from your hands to other surfaces.
That is just absolutely shocking how germs can spread. So what can we do to protect ourselves from all of these germs?
Well, germs spread through the air through sneezes and coughs or through liquid like sweat, saliva, and blood. Sometimes they spread by simply hanging out on surfaces that we might touch, like another person's hands, doorknobs, or countertops. So the best way to protect yourself from germs is to wash your hands. Make sure to use soap and water, not just hand sanitizer. Wash your hands after coughing or sneezing, before you eat, after you use the bathroom, after touching animals and playing outside, or exposing yourself to someone else who is sick. Cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough and use tissues when you have a cold. Make sure to eat a balanced diet, exercise, and get a good night's sleep to help your body stay strong and healthy against germs.
Definitely good advice. So can you tell us, is there a right way to wash our hands?
Yes, make sure to use warm water and soap. Rub your soapy hands together for at least 15 to 20 seconds, or about as long as it takes to sing happy birthday. Hey, let's see what happens when we use soap against germs.
For this activity, you'll need a bowl filled about halfway with water, black pepper, and some type of dishwashing soap. After you fill your bowl with water, sprinkle pepper onto the top of the water. The pepper represents germs that live in our environment. Dip your finger into the pepper mixture. What happens? Next, clean off your fingers and dip into the dishwashing soap. Place it in the mixture again. Now, what happens? This is an alternative version to the germ investigation. Instead of using water, use milk. Do the same thing and sprinkle pepper on top of the milk. Again, the pepper represents germs that live in our environment. Dip your finger into the mixture. Pepper gets all over. Wash your fingers off and dip your fingers into the dishwashing soap. Now, watch what happens. You can see this in slow motion because it looks really cool. What other cleaning agents could you use instead of dishwashing soap? For this activity, you can purchase a bacteria growing kit online from various websites. Typically, kits come with agar already in petri dishes and cotton swabs. They also include instructions for this experiment. I chose to swab 10 different items from around my house. Here are the results after about 2 days of incubation. This is my front door handle. Pretty clean. Here's the palm of my hand. Could use some work. This is a cutie fruit. Also pretty clean, which is good to know. This is my bearded dragon Smaug. He's pretty clean. Next, I swabbed my cat's teeth, which he wasn't thrilled about. But his mouth is pretty clean. How about a PlayStation remote? Got a little growing in there. I swabbed the bottom of my chore boots. Now that is a little bit scary. What about the kitchen sink? Not too bad, but probably needs a deep clean. Next up, my iPhone. Ooh, yikes. And last, the floor and the entryway. Oh boy, that is pretty bad. This is a pretty easy experiment to do and fun to see what is growing right under your nose in your home or what might need extra cleaning.
Germs can be both good and bad, but it's always a good idea to wash your hands regularly. Thanks for joining me today, and stay healthy.
Sarah, thank you so much for teaching us about germs and busting some myths for us today. There are definitely lots of myths out there about germs right now. Now, if you enjoyed this session, know that we've got lots of great things for you to learn with 4-H STEM Summer Reading Connections, including spiders, myth or fact, bust your breakfast, and the truth about weather. And in each of these sessions, you can enjoy another story, some more science, and to bust some myths. So you can find those at our website, which you can see on this page. Just pause the video and copy paste that website into your browser. I also want to make a plug for Nebraska 4-H virtual resources. There are lots of new things being added each week this summer, from fair workshops to science experiments to entrepreneurship ventures. Be sure to check that out, virtual and at-home learning resources at 4h.unl.edu. And if you don't want to use the computer, that's okay too. You can access those resources, and there are some that you can print off and enjoy without having to spend more screen time. Now, if you enjoyed our story today, we do have more stories for you to check out. Germs, Fact or Fiction, Friends and Foes, Cutie Sue Fights the Germs, Meet Bacteria, and A Germ's Journey are all recommended stories if you liked the one we read today. Now, you can check out your local library to see if they have these books. If not, be sure to ask them if they can secure these books from other libraries, because I know that's something that my library here does for me all the time. Now, if you have enjoyed these stories, we're so glad that you joined us for 4-H STEM Summer Reading Connections. And on behalf of the team, I'm your host, Jen. I hope that you join us again soon. See ya.